Success. Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach. What really happened? Your boy Ego, I'm going to take it through what really happened in this fight. The fight ended in a majority draw. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Listen, New York was electric. Tank came in second, only to the Rolling Stones. I can't get no satisfaction. Sold out the building. The building was electric, and the fight really delivered, right? And I'm going to talk about that, and we're going to go into it. I'll bring up everything that went on, and let's get it cracking. What really happened? Now, I thoroughly enjoyed the fight. The ending a bit anticlimactic because in big fights, I mean, who likes a draw? Even Tank said that post-fight. People don't really want to see a draw. You want more of a conclusion. This is exactly what I said on my watch party. Shout out to everybody that cash apped, super chatted, left a comment, left a like. We had another very successful watch party. Speaking of success, the good is the event appeared to be a success. Star-making performance from Gary Antoine Russell, who was coming off of a loss. Now he's a champion. Puello retained his title in a fun fight with Sandor Martin. And then the Tank Roach fight definitely got people talking. Now, I don't duck or dodge any topic in the world of boxing, but in this video, we're going to break it down, what really went on and what really happened, and I couldn't wait to do it. So, main event, fun fight. Again, for me, a bit anticlimactic in the fact that you really wanted to see a conclusion to a good fight. But now it joins the conversations like Wilder versus Tyson Fury 1, a fight that I covered. You know, fights like Jermell Charlo versus Castano. Keep that fight in mind because it will come up again. But early rounds in the fight, I don't have all the rounds memorized, so we're going to just take it through this. Gervonta Davis, he seemed locked in the early rounds. Very locked in, but so was Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach was trying to pick his shots, looking to counter, and pretty much halfway through the fight, I definitely had Tank comfortably ahead, right? Now, I tell you guys all the time, and we could put this in the bad category. There's a lot of boxing fans that, most don't know ish about boxing, and they sure enough don't. So they let their emotions rule them. That doesn't work with me. I've been in this game. I've seen fighters win. I've seen fighters lose. I've seen the ups, the downs, peaks, valleys, controversies, etc. I don't let my emotions get in the way. For scoring boxing, it is simply round by round. If something drama-filled or bizarre happens, you still have to score the fight like regular, right? And we got about, I want to say, the 9th round where something very peculiar, very abnormal and bizarre occurred. And that seems to have taken on a life of its own. And that's when Tank Davis, out of nowhere, he's in the fight back towards the ropes. He just go like this and he took a knee. And the great thing about my watch parties are it's in real time. So I've never seen this. It's not like watching a movie like The Departed or something that I've seen, so I know what's going to happen next. So if you look at my genuine reaction in the Boxing Ego watch party, I was confused. I didn't know, was he hurt? Was he playing around? Like, I literally didn't know what happened. And rightfully so, go watch my watch party. That's how I responded. I was just like, what is it? Like, what happened? What is he doing? You know what I mean? Because it was just bizarre. It was literally out of nowhere, and he seemed to take a knee. And I'm like, what? Is he tripping? Is this like an Oliver McCall type of moment? And he like lost the plot. And then he gets up and then he rushes like towards his corner and he's like talking to people outside the ring. They're not mic'd up. So I clearly, as an interested spectator, I have no idea what's going on. Lamont Roach kind of looked like, what? Hey, what is this? The referee looked like, what is this? What's going on? Right? So I don't even know what that was about in real time. And we later find out, which I'll get into. We'll later find out what it was. So he took the knee, right? And then he gets up, goes to his corner, and he yells for something. And then Calvin Ford got like the white towel and like wipe his face real quick. And then Tank jumped back into the fight. And then the referee's like, hey, don't do that. You know what I mean? Because he had like started to do a count because he didn't know if Tank got dropped. Then he like changed it when Tank popped back up. And I guess it just created a level of confusion because it was so weird and really kind of a rookie move from Gervonta Davis that nobody knew what was going on. The referee in charge, Steve Willis, tried to handle it the best way he knew how, given all things considered, not knowing, having a star fighter. And, people are saying it was a blunder and it was disastrous. They're people. He's a human. He didn't know what was going on, just like me and whatever else. And it looked weird. Like, is he? Because people are making a big deal about this goof, this blunder, as if Tank was like, he had to buy time because he was hurt, but a punch didn't even land, right? And if he truly was hurt, like concussively hurt, then he wouldn't pop back up and then walk and then nothing happened. Like if you're hurt, you're hurt. If you're seeing doubles, you're seeing double. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a bizarre sequence. Could it have been handled better? Absolutely. But that's life. If you're a cop and you're in a situation with the hostage and stuff, you have to handle it on the fly the best way you know how to. And, sometimes it's not always going to be perfect. We've seen police, I thought this was my taser, but they really pulled out their gun and, unfortunately release and discharge their gun. So, hopefully those things don't happen. But in a real world setting, sometimes they do. Again, you see how I could talk boxing and there's no emotion to it. I'm just telling you what happened. Disastrous, blunderous, weird call. Sure, you could give it that. But again, when you don't know what's going on, you have a star fighter, high profile fight. You too, as a referee, you got to think of Steve Willis. He's a human. He don't know what's going on. He don't want to make the wrong call. You know what I mean? That impacts the fight. So, yeah, I mean, it would have been better if in a perfect world, everybody knew what was going on and it was handled different. Cool. But it wasn't. And the referee has the discretion. So it's just something you got to live with it. How many times have we seen judges put out scorecards that were egregious in boxing? How many times have we seen George Groves when he's arguably winning versus Carl Froch and it's a premature stoppage? So this is nothing new, but Tank Davis is so colossal in this sport of boxing. He has a lot of supporters and he has a lot of haters. And some of these haters are vermin. They're rodents. They're rats. They're parasites and parasitic and symbiotic. So these parasites are looking for a host to leech onto. So in the event that it happens to Tank, there's no benefit of the doubt given. People want to see you fail. And especially even boxing fans. Boxing fans want to see you fail because it humanizes you. And like Tank is lit. He was, he's known as a knockout artist. Him not knocking out Lamont Roach, him having, any controversy or the fact that there's a picture with him like Iron Man with his knee on the canvas, it gives miserable people the hope that they want because now it like humanized Tank. But for real, it was a weird sequence, no more, no less. But it's really not much different than things I've seen in boxing. It's just when it happened, some of you guys didn't even watch these fights. Like there was a Nonito Donaire fight. I know for a fact because I know my boxing. I don't remember the exact opponent. It might have been Siempe Vecheka fight, but there was a fight where Nonito Donaire literally called a timeout in the middle of the fight, and then the referee like allowed him to, because he was like complaining about a cut. And if you guys know what fight that is with Donaire or what round it is, please put it in the comment section. But I know my sport, and I know I seen it. It was on, I believe it was an HBO fight, and when Donaire was with them, he called a timeout. Weird, but stuff like that happens. They're fighters. Something happened, Tank. So he did later explain what it was. He said he got braided 2 days ago, and a combination between his sweat from fighting and maybe some chemical or, hair gel or grease or whatever to hold his hair in place that was used, mixed, and then the sweat, it trickled in his eye. So I don't know. The glove made his braid fly, and then it flew in his eye. And then he on some Van Damme and Bloodsport when Bolo crushed up the powder and threw it in his eye, and Van Damme was like, "Bam!" So we had an actual Kumite Demok. No bottom brick. Ha! Look, it's the American who makes tricks with bricks. Bro, we had a full-on blood sport. Bam! He couldn't see with the bolo. So it made for exciting TV. It made for controversy. It made for something for the fans to talk about. And that's where we're at right now. It's that simple. I've seen weird stuff like this. I've seen bad scorecards, bad referee, bad calls. I seen a fight where the guy dodged all the punches that the guy was throwing and wasn't getting hit with nothing, and the referee went like that and stopped the fight. So, I mean, it's just amplified because it's Gervonta Davis, and he's so high profile. These other dudes, they don't have high profile fights. So when weird stuff or blunders or missed calls or blown calls happen, at the end of the day, no one knows and no one cares about it because they're not popular. So Tank is under a microscope. No more, no less. People could say whatever they want. It was a weird sequence, definitely a weird moment. It happened. You can't take it back. It's no different than the people who watch football and they're mad because their team got kicked out and didn't make it to the Super Bowl. And they're like, man, but the refs blew a call. Or basketball, the refs blew a call. And because of that one call, they felt that if this holding call would have been called, then the Green Bay Packers would have went to the Super Bowl. But guess what? That's life. And it didn't happen. So you just got to deal with it. You could get mad. I see people snitching. I'm going to call the commission. Call the commission. Let's see if something happens. In a pro fight, the rules are that the referee has total discretion. Refs and ringside physicians. So you could call whoever you want. The man that the commission put in charge. It's not like some guy from out the ring, in the audience came and start reffing. This is a sanctioned official, and he has carte blanche to rule how he wants. And in the rules of boxing, guess what? You got to do what the ref says to do. And if it's a blown call, it's a blown call. And you could cry about it, but that's what it is. Like, for example, although it didn't matter in Terrence Crawford's case with Mean Machine, he literally got dropped and fell to his knee. It should have been a knockdown, right? But Terrence Crawford, they ruled it a slip, right? So again, we've seen this stuff happen before. Ultimately, it didn't matter because Crawford got the knockout. But if that fight with Mean Machine, Aegis Kavalauskas would have went to the scorecards, then that would have been a pivotal moment. Luckily for Bud, he was able to finish the job with that opponent, and, it didn't go to the scorecards. Another fight, Israel Madrimov. See, that's how I know that these guys, they cannot beat me. They don't know more boxing than me. They don't study the sport. They are emotional. They are haters, right? There was a fight where Israel Madrimov, and this is before he fought Crawford, so y'all wasn't even watching him, but your boy Ego, the best in the business, and it's not even close. I was watching it. He fought a guy on DAZN named Eric Walker, and he had this weird like punch where he and clipped the dude and then like stumbled, like ran off, and then it was clearly a knockdown. Clearly, you guys could go watch it. It was late in the fight, maybe the final round, right? It was late in the fight. Madrimov like hooked off on him, like took off on him, and the dude fell, and he's hurt from a punch, got knocked out. They showed it from different angles and different camera vantage points and stuff. Clearly, the man is hurt, and guess what? The referee said it was a slip. So that messed up Madrimov because the fight went to the scorecards. That should have been a knockout win for him, right? Daniel Dubois. You see, I could do this all day. I'm really him. I'm really Timothée Chalamet. Daniel Dubois versus Usyk. Similar situation. Punch on the belt line. Was it a low blow? Was it the belt line? That changes the outcome of the fight because Usyk was given all this time to quote unquote recover. But if it was ruled a knockdown, he would have had to been ready and not get stopped by Daniel Dubois within, 9 seconds, basically 10 seconds. So it got ruled what the ref ruled it. And as a result, Usyk did his thing and came back to stop Daniel Dubois. So now it's shrouded in mystery. So again, these things happen in boxing, but because it's Tank, it's always going to be amplified. Some people were talking about the Usyk Dubois situation, but not to this level. When it's Tank, it's like the Usyk Dubois situation on steroids. It's like amplified 100x that because the fight with Tank is 100x that fight, right? Good fight, but nobody's checking for it the same as people are checking for Tank, which leads me to my next point. People are like, oh man, nobody wants to see Lamont Roach. Why did Tank pick Lamont Roach? This is a horrible fight, Ego. This is a cherry pick, right? But now these same people, these same content creators, I told you there's a lot of low quality content in the world of boxing. The same content creators who told you no one wanted to see fight with Tank and Lamont Roach, the same fans that said, hey, I'm not watching that. That's horrible. Well, these content creators are doing watch parties for the very fight they said no one wants to see. And you guys are being bamboozled because you're caught in the rapture. Anita Baker, you stuck hating, so you don't even see how this stuff don't make sense. Imagine that. No one wants to see the fight. Tickets aren't selling. We find out that these content creators have been lying because Tank came in second only to Rolling Stones when the Barclay first opened. So it definitely sold out. You seen the crowd was electric. And then now, because they fed you lies, like no one wants to see it, tickets ain't selling, they rather revert to controversy and drama to make you scrub away and make you forget all the lies that they told you, that the fight was canceled, that Calvin Ford wasn't going to be in Tank's corner, which he was, that Coach Kenny got fired, which he was there too. You know what I mean? So they told you tickets weren't selling. Now we get into the bad and ugly. They said tickets weren't selling. Cap. He set a Barclay record. The Barclays confirmed this, right? Devin Haney just fought in the same venue last year with Ryan Garcia. Same exact venue, right? You guys, the same content creators said that was a big fight that would sell out, and it didn't. It did not do to the expectations. But then Tank is setting records. So the haters are down bad. Boom, Exhibit A. Barclays Center posted this. It says, sold out. See, y'all not talking about the real stuff. Over here, we going to keep talking about the real stuff. Tank Roach, it was a good fight. A bit weird at times for me, but it was still high-level stuff with two high-level skilled operators. Now let's keep talking about the bad and the ugly, because I've already exposed how content creators lied on the fight, and now they're trying to distract you with fake controversy. For me, I thought Tank won a close fight. You know, I'm not mad at a draw. A draw works too. It was kind of that type of fight. And Tank, truly, there were moments where he had like mental lapses and made kind of some rookie mistakes that we haven't seen him make in the past. So I can't even be mad if people had to fight close or a draw or whatever because of that. Because, you know, if you leave it to chance, then you have to be ready to deal with that. So for Tank, he just got to tighten up. Like there were, like, for example, to give you some examples, if you will. Tank Davis, there were moments where he was talking to the referee, and it's like some Victor Ortiz moment almost, but it didn't cost him like Ortiz versus Floyd Mayweather. His head was like cocked to the side, totally not aware of the guy in front of him. The rules in boxing protect yourself at all times. And Tank is like, man, yo, and he's saying something to the ref. And I remember one shot where Roach is like, bow, and just like hit him because he didn't have enough distance between them. And he was like arguing with the ref, and then Roach is punching. So Tank did some mistakes here with stuff like that, where he was like kind of distracted seeming. Obviously the knee, that's just like, even his own team said that looks like a submission when you just randomly take a knee. What was that about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. His eye was burning and stuff like that, but you have to do it in the best sensible way. So at that given moment, you know, you could say that Tank didn't make the best executive decision, but ultimately you have to go off what the referee scored it as. If he says it's a knockdown, like Usyk Dubois, I'm going to bring that up again. The referee said it wasn't a body shot that was valid, so you can't score it as a knockdown. Now you're stuck in the same boat where it's like Daniel Dubois really won, but then he didn't really win. He got stopped. You know what I mean? So the haters got to deal with the fact that this was a good fight, contested fight. They underrated Lamont Roach's ability here, and he kept telling you. Now, I told you, the bad and the ugly, it wasn't going to be for me because I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. Tank just needs to tighten up on the loss of focus areas. But the shots he was sending were vicious. The shots he was landing when he was switched on were nasty. Body work, nasty. Some of the headshots, nasty. It's just Tank made the fight probably more competitive with the extras that he was doing than it needed to be. Plus, Lamont Roach was out there really trying to win and beast. So that's boxing for you. I feel like sometimes in boxing, you can have like the perfect storm of events that occur, and it just makes for nights like this or even potentially worse. You have to understand the unpredictability of boxing. Like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was not living super disciplined. He was at massage parlors and stuff in Japan. Buster Douglas's mom passed away like a month before the fight, and he made a promise that he would beat Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's team was ill-prepared in Japan. They didn't have Inswell. They thought it was probably going to be easy work for Mike Tyson. Hi, it's me, Mike Tyson. Get ready in Tokyo. I'm in the Tokyo Dome. I'm about to fight. I got my upcoming fight with Buster Douglas. I studied them all. The Charlemagne's, the Attila the Huns, I studied them all. Napoleon, that's why I'm so ferocious. I know, that's one thing I know fighting. I know how to fight. I know the art of war, skullduggery, and Sun Tzu. I know these things. That's why I don't want the demon to come back, because if the demon come back, I know what's coming with him. Right? So Mike Tyson, undisciplined. Your camp thought it was going to be easy work. Didn't even have Inswell. Didn't expect you to swell up. And then Tyson gets upset. Now, Tank didn't get upset. It was a draw. But I feel like there was some confusion in this kind of perfect storm. You have a good fighter in Lamont Roach, who was tough, durable, resilient, had lost before. He was undeterred. He was confident. He's bigger than Tank, even though he was moving up. I've already told you that. And he knew Tank from the amateurs. That's another thing. He knew Tank from the amateurs. So he was like, nah, I know what I'm working with. I know how to fight this guy. And I think they had sparred before. And Tank probably didn't have the chip on his shoulder because he's halfway cool with Lamont Roach. Tank switched up his team, had Barry Hunter as the lead. So you add all these things together, and for me, it created the calamity that we seen last night. Switches in the corner, different head trainer, because there was even a moment where it was just uncharacteristic of Tank. There's a moment Calvin Ford says something in the corner, and he's like, Tank, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, Calvin, listen to me. That was weird. You never really seen that when Calvin was in his corner saying something, Tank to kind of like snap. So I don't know. I know a lot of fighters personally. Some people have off nights and like bad nights and things weren't clicking, or they're angry or mad or sick, or, I don't know. Whatever it was, there were some things that for me were uncharacteristic. I feel like mistakes, like looking away, taking a knee. These are like simple stuff. Tank knows better. He knows, he's been a professional since he was a kid. He knows what you can and can't do and what you should and shouldn't do. So did Victor Ortiz versus Mayweather. But again, it's a fight. So, things happen. Victor Ortiz knew not to look away and talk to the ref because Mayweather was going to clock him. But he did it and got knocked out. Victor Ortiz knows that as a boxer, you shouldn't punch with your mouth open. And then he did it. And he kept doing it. He got his jaw broke by Jose Cito Lopez. So for me, if you know boxing, nothing is really shocking. You had a game Lamont Roach who knew his opponent. You had Tank with hair grease in his eye and the weird knee situation. And you had a ref blunder. You had some discord or like discourse in the corner, and it just made for a fun and eventful fight and a good fight. And people are gonna feel how they want, but I've seen this movie before, bro. The prime example, probably the closest that I can think of, is Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano. We've been here before, people. When Jermell Charlo fought Castano, it was controversial. And then the A side didn't perform like I guess people thought. And then Brian Castano was more game and people didn't really know the name brand. But a person like me, I told you Castano was going to be a tough fight. I seen him fight Edeslandi Lara, and a lot of people thought he won that fight, even though they didn't give it to him. So the real recognizes real. I'm real boxing. I am the heartbeat and soul of boxing, the voice in this game, the best in the business. I knew Castano was a formidable foe. You guys didn't because you don't watch boxing like that. You don't know about boxing. So I'm not surprised that he pushed Jermell Charlo to the brink, or they hurt each other, or made for a fight that was a draw. Y'all was surprised. But guess what? You guys criticize and notice a pattern. A black American fighter like Jermell Charlo in a controversial draw, you overly criticize it, say it's the end of the world, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. And then Jermell Charlo heard the cries, heard the concerns, stepped it up, did the immediate rematch, knocked Brian Castano out, and all was forgiven. So let's just see Tank and Roach again, run it back. Let's see if they do the rematch and clear the air. And then if Tank fights Roach, performs better or much more like higher to his expectation, then all is going to be forgiven. The same thing with, again, notice the pattern, black and American fighters. This is where you see it the most because you have different agendas that all conspire against certain fighters. Floyd Mayweather Castano, Floyd Mayweather versus Maidana. I knew Maidana was going to be a challenging fight, more so than even like Canelo and Pacquiao, because he has a different style, awkward punches, and a lot of power. and he's durable and resilient in game, right? So the first fight with Mayweather was closer than expected, and then people were like, oh, this is a robbery. So Floyd robbed the bank twice, and then people were like, I don't even want to see the rematch because they knew what Floyd was going to do. So if you believe Roach wins, then bet all your money in Roach on the rematch. Simple, right? Bet him over Tank in the rematch. Because for me, what I seen is Lamont Roach probably had his best night, and Tank had his like below average night, and still fought competitively to a draw. That's what I truly seen. Let me say that again. Lamont Roach, he didn't make egregious mistakes. He did take a knee too. They both took a knee. I don't know what was up with the knee stuff, but whatever. I don't even want to get too distracted with that. I'm the best in the business. Roach arguably had his best night against a high-level operator, and that sometimes happens. The people, when you're up here and then someone's below you, not as a human, but in terms of like the pecking order, you're looking up trying to take their spot. So Roach is going to have the best training camp ever. He's going to have the right corner. He's going to try to make everything click. He's going to cross his T's and dot his I's to try to take that spot. That's what I told you guys before. Tank is battling. When you're a superstar, this is what you're battling each time. People are coming for your spot. What would it mean to beat Floyd Mayweather and stop him from being undefeated? What would it mean to take Tank's O and then put a 1 by it, right? And be the first person to do such, right? To beat De La Hoya, to beat Julio Cesar Chavez, you know? These things are important when you're the underdog. So these guys are coming with it. So for me, that's what I seen. No more, no less. Roach was focused. He was dynamic. What really impressed me is Roach's chin and ability to accept the body work that Tank was doing. He must have been in dog shape. He was ready. That's why, like, I guess people, they thought I was going to come bad-mouthing either guy. Bro, this is black excellence. I'm not bad-mouthing Tank, and I'm not bad-mouthing Roach. I seen a high-level fight where both people were getting off. You guys can cry and, oh, the knees and all that stuff. I don't have nothing bad to say about Roach. I don't have nothing. It's hard to kill a roach. Isn't that what they say in the hood? Bro, you think you swat a roach with a newspaper and then go out to get a paper towel, the roach come back is gone. It's hard to kill a roach. And Lamont Roach, he proved that. So I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at Tank. But here's the thing. Boxing is full of fakes and fraudulent people, fans, media, content creators, fake as ever, because you guys sat up here before the fight and said Roach is not of the level. He is not of the caliber. He's a bum and he's a cherry pick. I have never said any of these things. In fact, it was quite the contrary. If you go back to all of my videos, the videos are still up. I said this is a good fight. Lamont Roach is deserving. He's on a win streak. He's formidable. You guys were bringing up Jamel Herring fights and all this other stuff, disrespecting this man. Now you want me to believe that the same people that called this man a bum, a cherry pick, and said Tank needs to step up his resume, he's not fighting anyone. They called him a nobody fighter and a cab driver. Now these people are Lamont Roach fans, and some of them are race fans. So now all of a sudden they not racist anymore, and they love Lamont Roach because he did better than people expected. Get the F out of here, like Canelo say. Get out of here, bro. Again, credit to Lamont Roach. I never doubted that he could put up a fight. He knew Tank. He was bigger than Tank. Everything, this is not surprising. You guys don't know about boxing, so you're surprised. I told you he's bigger than Tank. It's difficult to stop somebody who got an unbeaten record or at least a win streak, and then they know you from sparring. You've seen it with Devin and Ryan. Devin, maybe other people like Regis Prograis, that's his first time getting in the ring with Devin. So maybe he was like, oh man, what do I do? Ryan didn't act scared of Devin because he had fought him like 4 times or 6 times or whatever. Six, I think. Yeah, six in the amateurs, right? And that's sometimes when you spar a guy a lot of times or fought him multiple times in the amateur, sometimes people just have your numbers. So I've seen two skilled black American fighters who pushed each other in different ways. People are making it like Tank got blown out and all that. Like the CompuBox don't even show that. Tank landed the harder shots. Tank landed the more authoritative shots. But here's the dilemma for Gervonta Davis, bro. One, and I'm going to keep saying it, I don't care who's mad. He's a black American fighter. So to the race fans, that's already a knock against you. But two, he's a known knockout artist. So with that comes pressure. If you're known as a knockout artist, that's what people demand. So when you can't hurt or you don't badly hurt and like have Lamont Roach like drunk in there, you're already up against it. People are going to look at that as an automatic victory because what you've done to other guys, this guy ain't going for it. And you haven't been able to like rock him and, you know, stumble him and drop him. So again, it's viewed by the same individuals that were hating. It's viewed as an automatic loss. Y'all did the same thing with Wilder. If Wilder didn't knock something out, then y'all said he definitely lost the fight. Like the first Tyson Fury fight. Abandon all logic, all round by round scoring. He just lost because he couldn't keep Fury down and stuff. So when you're a knockout artist, on top of that, a black knockout artist, on top of that, a black knockout artist that's lit, like Wilder and Tank. Wilder when he was fighting against Furies and stuff, and Tank, then the pressure is high. And anybody who survives, and also not just the knockout artist angle, is also when you're just a superstar. It don't matter if you're black, white, Mexican, whatever. You're a superstar. So anybody who is considered an underdog that does better against the star name, then it's automatically embellished upon and it's like inflated because it's like, wow. Like imagine someone from a G League, some guy from Yugoslavia, and he gives Michael Jordan a tough game. It's going to be automatically blown out of proportion because you just expect Michael Jordan to crush this G League guy or whatever, this guy from Yugoslavia. So it's just regular, everyday, athletic, competitive stuff. But when you have the persona of like being untouchable, it brings you down a notch in the public's mind, and people start scoring irrationally and not really looking at it round by round. The fact that Tank took a knee, even though he wasn't hurt, but he took a knee, they're like, oh man, he's making him take a knee. The fact that Lamont Roach is fighting back and standing in there and was able to accept the shots, and he's like countering, trying to get his shots. He did good work, people. Tight defense, good jab. He was shoulder rolling. Like I wasn't mad at either fighter. It was a close fight. I really had Tank winning, but a draw is understandable because, again, Tank, to me, this was not his sharpest performance. And he told you that post-fight. He said, I made this fight harder for myself. And I agree. There looks like some distraction and confusion in the corner. Yeah, whatever, sweat glands and grease in his eyes and stuff like that. I really think Tank needed this, to be honest. So people are like, oh, how do you feel? I feel great. I made a lot of money last week, right? And I'll continue to do such and keep talking boxing. So I feel amazing. To be honest, Tank needed this, right? You're a high profile star. Maybe he got big headed and thought like, oh, it's going to be easy work or whatever. And then now he has to deal with whatever fans are saying and people posting pictures. So you heard he went from saying, I want to retire, to now he's like, nah, let me push that back. I still got more to prove. So as athletes, that's how I can tell some of you guys aren't even athletes or competitors. Sometimes you need these little pushes and like people talking bad about you and, you know, you becoming humanized for you to really dig down. Like Jermell Charlo. I'm sure he didn't like people saying, Castano beat you. It was a robbery. Because I remember Canelo Alvarez did a FaceTime call with Brian Castano saying, I think you won the fight. And the video came out and people were like, oh, look, even Canelo. So Jermell Charlo probably seen all that. Like, man, they really saying I lost. They saying I lost to Tony Harrison. And what did Jermell Charlo do? A black American fighter. First Tony Harrison, he came back and was like, uppercutting his man's head. I was at the fight and he knocked out Tony Harrison. And then the same thing he was doing to Jermell Charlo. To Brian Castano. Knocked him out in the rematch. Ward, a guy I know personally, Andre Ward, same thing. People criticize the Kovalev, right? Oh, man, it was too close for comfort. Kovalev beat you. You barely escaped with the win. Ward knew what went on in camp. He said he couldn't use his leg. His knee was down, came back correct, knocked out Kovalev, retired on top. So for me, I like it. I like it for Tank, to be honest, because sometimes that's what a fighter needs to really see where you're at. Now, what would be bad is if Tank doesn't learn from this and really is checked out of boxing. Obviously, that wouldn't be good. But I like to have the benefit of the doubt that Tank Davis is going to learn from it, see Shakur and Terrence Crawford and whoever else talking bad about him and be like, all right, bet. And then, improve it. And on the next one, show what you're really on and, show the regular sharpness and acute awareness and stuff. Tank just looked very distracted. That's all I seen. And it goes to show you how great Tank is that so many people coming out the woodworks to hate on him, one, but also so great where he has, I guess what people are saying, a bad night or unfocused, distracted night. And that is still enough to get a draw and arguably win. You know what I'm saying? And then meanwhile, your opponent had their best night ever and you still was getting off and it was still highly competitive. So this wasn't an A+ performance by Tank. I would give that to Gary Antoine Russell. For me, he had the performance of the night. I did a full breakdown on that fight. I don't duck no concept in boxing. Y'all can't beat me, bro. There's no reason to. I get paid off of all of this. Check out my Gary Antoine Russell dominating Jose El Rayo video. If you gained any value from listening to my breakdowns, my live streams, let's keep it rocking. Cash App is in the description. The likes, share the video. You guys control. I'm being very realistic with what's happening in boxing, so I don't really care about that. It ain't going to stop the cash flow. So that's really what I got from the Tank Roach fight. Again, Tank being who he is and the knockout artist and being lit, he's going to just be held to a different standard. So the fact that an underdog did better, then people are going to score it and it's automatically a loss just because an underdog gave you competitive moments. It's that simple. And people are going to embellish and, oh, this was a robbery and all this stuff. And then the funny thing is, somebody was like, this was a robbery. I said, what rounds did you give Lamont Roach? The guy said, I don't know. I seen the highlights, but Roach won. So I'm not even going to waste no energy arguing with someone like that. I watched the fight from start to finish. Y'all watching highlights and recap videos and saying who won and stuff like that. That's not even worth my breath. I get paid to talk. I'm not even wasting my time to debate somebody who they can't even tell you what rounds the person won. And that's boxing fans for you. There's a lot of boxing fans that this, and this happened. They don't even have scorecards. So how you know who won? Because here's something that's very funny. And that's why I said I love my job. I would not change any of this for the world. I am really the best in the business. I want to show you something. And this will put it in perspective for you because, again, it was a good fight. It was competitive. Tank, the biggest takeaway for me was that Tank didn't perform to his typical standard, and Lamont Roach did better than the standard that was in front of him. Does that make sense? But to prove my greatness, let me show you this. So what you see is Larry Hazard's scorecard, right? After 9 rounds or whatever, right? Larry Hazard's scorecard. So you see he gave Tank Davis the first round, the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round, and the sixth round. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So boxing is math. The referee didn't score a knockdown. So Larry Hazard, his scorecard, he gave Tank out of the first 6 rounds, right? He gave Tank 5 of them. You could easily argue round 2 was a Tank round. There's 6 rounds right there. You guys don't know how to score boxing, right? So what does that mean? So let's be clear. The knockdown was not scored a knockdown. That's to the referee's discretion. I can prove it. In fact, I will in just a second, right? So there were no other moments where anyone else got knocked down or a point deduction. So Larry Hazard gave Tank 5 out of the first 6 rounds. So it's not inconceivable that that second round went to Tank also. And it probably did go to Tank. So that means Tank won 6 rounds out of 12. And then you mean to tell me from Tank lost every round from 7 through 12? Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. So that's what I'm saying. If you actually knew how to score the fight, it's not really shocking. It's not shocking. And he was the champion. And it's funny because you guys have all these adages and idioms like, oh, you got to do more to beat the champ. But you only do it when it's convenient. Like if it's Canelo Alvarez, that's when people say it. Oh, you got to do more. You know, Triple G didn't do enough to beat the champ, or Lara didn't do enough to win. You got to take the belt from the champ. But then Tank was the champ. He's the A side. He's the bigger fighter. And now that's out the window because it's Tank. And now Lamont Roach don't have to do more, really take it to. He could just have a competitive fight and we'll just cry about it and say that he won. So, like, again, I'm not here for the uneducated. My channel is for people who are willing to learn and advanced users. Robberies are not fights that are close fights. And the PBC scorecard. So again, you guys embellish, but these are the facts. He gave Tank most of the first 6 rounds. So just by winning that, because you can't, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know about that knee stuff, right? So you just have to go round by round scoring, and Larry Hazard did it as such, and he seen Tank winning. So that whole knee is what got people like, oh, and the fact that Lamont Roach being a underdog did better than expected. So what is caused is created an opportunity for people to get out of reality and get in their emotional bag and be like, oh, it was a robbery, Tank lost. But how is it a robbery if Tank was winning the fight? The knockdown wasn't scored for whatever reason. And, you know, Lamont Roach did cool. He did not win like y'all saying. Go back and watch the fight. He did not win like you said. That's why I said a draw is perfectly sufficient. Perfectly sufficient. You know what I mean? But when you're Tank, you got to perform even higher because you know the pressure's on. And then as far as the fighters like Crawford and Shakur, I mean, Crawford should be bulking up for Canelo, for real, for real. So why is he worried? He's 38. Why are you even worried about somebody in a division that, you know, don't really have nothing to do with you? Then guys like Shakur and Keyshawn, everybody's like, oh, I told you. Keyshawn saying he the face of boxing. Bro, you fought Dennis Berenchink. He sucked. For real, for real. Shakur broke both of his hands fighting an electrician, Padley. He not that good. Not at this level. And then Tank fought the best. So out of Keyshawn and Shakur, Tank fought the best guy by a long shot. And again, you guys are trying to tell me something about boxing when you were the same people dumping on Lamont Roach, saying he was trash. Meanwhile, I was telling you he's good, right? And I was telling you he will whoop Padley and Dennis Baranchenk. So you cannot defeat me. Do you understand that? So I'm not listening to nothing that no one is saying that was talking some different stuff before the fight and calling Lamont Roach names. Why would I now listen to you when you slighted the man up until last night? Why would I honestly care anything of what you talking about, bro? And the proof is in the pudding. You guys were saying this was a cherry pick and it was a bad fight. I was telling you that Lamont Roach is really a good fighter. And it's funny because the real recognize real. I don't have to prove it. I'm just doing it because I can, right? So your boy Ego said February 15th. I got receipts. Unpopular opinion. Let me add insult to injury. Regardless of what happens on March 1st, Lamont Roach would have beat up Dennis Baranchenk. You see that? Cooked that boy up. He not the one. Laughing my ass off. I said that February 15th. Tank just fought Lamont Roach on March 1st. So I was telling you that Lamont Roach can fight. You guys were complaining. Look, February 19th, your boy Ego. I said, I don't ever want to hear anyone complaining about Tank picking Lamont Roach as his third or fourth choice ever again, right? So this is what I was saying about Roach. You guys were hating on Roach, and now you're all of a sudden a Roach fans. You guys were telling me it was a cherry pick. That's why I'm not bothered by it. Then you have people lying on my name. They're like, oh, ha, Ego, you got your prediction wrong. One small problem with that. How did I get my prediction wrong when I never made a prediction for Tank versus Roach? So once again, I don't look any type of way. I cover boxing and I do it like no other. People saying I got my prediction wrong. I never put out a prediction for this fight. I will give you $5,000 if you show my content where I said Tank was going to knock out. And meanwhile, you got content creators who are sliding Tank and now jumping on the Roach bandwagon, and they put out content saying that Roach was getting knocked out. I never said Roach would get knocked out, and I never slighted Roach. So this is what I say. Shape shifters. This is what shapeshifters do. I'm showing you receipts for what I said. These people picked Tank by knockout to knock out Roach. I have never said he was going to knock out Roach. I said it was a good fight. And I said he would beat Padley, Shakur's last foe, especially on late terms. Now you see how good he is. I said he would beat Dennis Baranchenk. I said I don't want to hear people complaining about Roach as Tank's third or fourth pick. I was giving the man props. Now, after the fight happened, now the race fans and then the haters who were hating on me for giving Lamont Roach credit before the fight. So keep the same energy. That's why y'all can't tell me nothing now. Y'all can't switch up and tell me about boxing when you guys had no clue that Lamont Roach was this good. I've been telling you that he's formidable. So I'm not worried about it. Right? I don't have to backtrack. I never said Tank was going to knock him out. So I don't look no type of way. Meanwhile, the people who are on the Lamont Roach bandwagon, right? They picked Lamont Roach to get knocked out and said he was a cherry pick. So that's funny. And that's why Lamont Roach called them out. He said a lot of the fake boxing media, I showed I'm supposed to be here. You know what I mean? A lot of y'all is fake. So credit to Lamont Roach. Very game effort. It was a good fight, close fight. You know, no matter how you had it, it was a close fight. Close fights aren't robberies. You guys are just mad because Tank Davis, you wanted an L in a close fight. That's what it is. Lamont Roach, he did very good work, but so did Tank. Tank was landing some mean stuff. Now you got people who are feeling big, bad, and Brody with other fight predictions. Oh, man, Shakur Stevenson, that means he would win. How? Shakur Stevenson, this is not interchangeable. This is not like having a cell phone and then you clean it off and erase the data on the phone and sell it to somebody else. Now it's their cell phone. Lamont Roach's heart, his size, his skill, his arm reach, his chin, that is exclusive to him. Shakur's hands ain't been holding up too well. Lamont Roach didn't have that problem. So he was able to punch with him and stay in front. When have you seen Shakur stay in front of an athletic, dangerous puncher that's rhythmic like a Tank? So we can't give credit to other people without seeing the fight. When, for me, the Tank Roach fight, it reminds me of Better Biev versus Bevo 2. Whereas Tank and Better Biev, the noted punchers, they were doing very good work in competitive fights. And what Bevel accepted and like the shots he was getting hit with, Roach, the shots he was getting hit with to the body and head, not everyone is going to stand up to that. So it's a credit to those individual fighters more than anything else. But that don't mean everybody going to do what Bevel did and go trade with Better Biev and come out on top. In fact, I really believe even at age 40, it's going to be a lot different for a lot of people. You're not Bevel's height. You don't have his chin. You don't have his ring IQ. You don't have his arm reach. So for you, it'll be a different fight. You can't just magically inherit all of Bevel's best features. That's not how it works. So I like to give credit where credit's due. Bevel walked through the fire. Lamont Roach stayed on that hot stove and knew the chances of getting burned were there, and he stayed in there and was willing to trade with Tank and endure what he had to endure to make it 12 rounds. But I'm not giving nobody else credit for that, like Keyshawn or Shakur. They're fighting Padleys and Baranchinks, who are lesser than Lamont Roach to this point. So, yeah, you don't get credit for that. Only Lamont Roach and Tank. So that's all this boils down to. It's really just Tank hate, and because Tank put up the effort that he put up and it wasn't expected, let's just blow it out of proportion and, try to maximize that. But people are like, oh, why did Tank bring up Lamont Roach? Again, I've told you from the jump, I have videos, I have tweets that Lamont Roach is truly bigger than Tank. He looked bigger than him in the ring, right? But they're like, oh, he pulled up another guy like Hector Garcia. But these same people tell Tank he need to fight at 140, and he's weighing in at 133 at the weigh-in, under the 135-pound limit by a couple pounds. So Tank needs to move up to 140 because you say so. But then Tank moving up Hector Luis Garcia, a champion, and Lamont Roach, a champion, is blasphemy. I mean, these guys aren't even consistent enough to be in my world. But here, I told you I would show you. This is from the ABC rules. You guys cannot defeat me. The ABC rules are pretty much the universal rules of boxing. It shall be ruled a knockdown when, as a result of a legal blow or a series of legal blows, a contestant, 1, touches the floor with any part of the body other than his feet, is held up by the ropes, or is hanging on through or over the ropes without the ability to protect themselves and cannot fall to the floor. Right? So as the result of a legal blow, Tank didn't go down from a legal blow. He just elected that, hey, I got grease in my eye, my hair pushed in my face or whatever, and the sweat, and it bothered me and burned, and I don't want to get hit with something silly, so I elected to take a knee. And it was weird. It was peculiar. I give you that, but no more, no less. Stuff like that happens. It's on the fly. Nobody knew what Tank was doing and why he did it. So really, it played out how it played out. You guys go, oh, but Tank took a knee. I mean, it happened. It is what it is. But again, it's the referee's discretion. The referee has the ultimate ability to make the call. So if it's a blown call or the right call, the referee is the one that makes it. So you got to live with that. And if I'm lying, then tell Lamont Roach and team to sue New York State Athletic Commission. Nothing will happen, because in the court of law, you have to be able to prove what you're saying, and it's up to the referee's discretion. So you can be mad that it didn't go a certain way and be, oh, Lamont would have won if this. He didn't make the call, bro. And again, sue the New York State Athletic Commission for that and see how that turned out. If you feel like you were so wronged, I can't wait. So very good fight, technical fight. You know, Tank, all he has to do is the Jermell Charlo approach. If you do the rematch, just show up and shut people up with a sharper performance. Like I said, there was some confusion and distraction. I don't know why or what, but I truly got that from Tank in this particular fight, where it's like he's fighting bigger punchers than Lamont Roach. He couldn't afford to make these mistakes, and he didn't, like Ryan Garcia, Frank Martin, Roley even. These are bigger punchers than Lamont Roach. So there was just the element of it that was a bit weird. The other thing is, I think maybe because I think part of Tank success is he's a mean fighter. So I don't think he really had true competitive animosity towards Lamont Roach because he grew up with him. They're both from the same like region, Baltimore, DMV area. You know what I mean? They're both from the same region. So I think Tank entering this fight, he didn't really have a chip. He was just like too friendly. He told Lamont Roach, I'm not even going to trash talk you at this press conference because your mama is here. So like little stuff like that. Maybe it didn't give Tank the edge that he normally has, because Ryan Garcia's mom and dad was in the crowd supporting their son, and he didn't care about trash talking Ryan Garcia because they weren't friends. But I truly think there was a level of like friendship, admiration. We came up in the same circuit type of ness going on, even after the after the rounds. After each round, not every round, but after rounds, Tank was like punching him in the stomach, like good game, patting each other on the butt, like good game. Like you see it in basketball where Kobe Bryant will pat Steph Curry on the butt or something, like when he makes a good 3-point shot. Like, all right, that was good. Like, we not beefing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the same as like when Matt Barnes is like trying to throw the ball in Kobe's face and trying to get a reaction out of it, and Kobe just stared there chewing his gum. You know what I mean? So it could be a combination of things, a perfect storm, if you will, of why last night looked like it. No biggie. Lamont Roach got a profile boost. The people who slept on him now can check for him. And Tank Davis is just going to make his next fight. So I actually like it, to be honest. People thought I was going to be mad or whatever, but I like it because now Gervonta Davis, he was kind of running out of like in-house type of fights because like Shakur doing the Saudi Arabia thing. We don't know if that fight will happen, blah, blah, blah. Lomachenko might retire. So this just opens up new options, I feel, even if it's not Lamont Roach, because now maybe people are like, oh, I could beat Tank now. And now they feel a type of way. So I'm not mad at it. I think it actually truly helps Tank, because if he couldn't get fights before, let's see who steps up and feels like I got to make the fight, or even their promoters. You know, let's see if promoters like, oh, all right, Tank's beatable. But I'm telling you, it's not going to go like that. He's not going to treat Shakur or Keyshawn like Lamont Roach and, you know, pat him on the stomach and stuff after the rounds. And I don't want to trash talk because your mom's in the crowd. He's not going to show them because they've been talking greasy and they talk and use his name and clout chase. He's not going to treat that the same. I can assure you that. But you guys let me know what you think. And again, for all the people who thought I was afraid to talk boxing, my job that I get paid for, I just gave you a 1 hour plus video breaking down every aspect of this fight. If you gained any value of that, from that, subscribe. And that's what really happened, Tank versus Roach.